Hey everyone, Chaps here, and today we've got another Horde video for you. As part of our Horde guides, we have decided to take an in-depth look at fortifications. In this particular video, we're going to be focusing on what we're classifying as defensive fortifications, and in this case, fences. We'll also be working on part 2 of this video soon, covering the weapons locker and the decoys, as well as another video for the offensive fortifications. As with many of our videos, quite a lot of testing went into getting these values, so let me quickly break down what was done. All testing was done on casual Wave 47. All damage values were against the Swarm Elites, so the dudes with the grenades and shotguns. To determine the health and repair cost of something, I simply let enemies attack the fortification until it was low on health. Then, as you see here, I can clearly see how much health is left and how much it's costing me to repair it. Now, before we get into the fortifications, let's talk about repairing for a minute. For the purposes of these tests, I was using a maxed out repair efficiency card. I mainly did this to speed things up, but at the same time, any engineer should always be running this card. We all know that the card says it gives a 100% efficiency to your repair boost, but what does this actually mean? Well, through my testing, I found out exactly that. A fully upgraded repair boost will spend energy at a rate 25% slower than the non-boosted tool. Not only that, but it will also repair twice as much health per second. So with that, we have 1.25 energy per second divided by 0.5 health per second, which gives us a final number of 2.5 energy per health. This means that with Repair Boost, not only will you be repairing faster, but it will also cost you 60% less overall. Okay, so now that we have that out of the way, let's hop in and take a look at the first fortification, the fences. We have two main types of fences. Level 1 and Level 2 are what I consider physical fences. Levels 3 and 4 are laser type. Besides the physical appearance of the fences, the way they work is slightly different. The physical type are your standard fences. They're there. As enemies walk through them, the enemies are slowed down and take damage, and the fences lose some health as well. The laser fences, on the other hand, are a less steady stream of damage. Enemies won't simply walk through these. With these fences, the enemies are going to walk into them, take a burst of damage, and repeat. Instead of walking through the fence, the enemies are slightly pushed back. The exception is if you're standing in the fence. If you, or a teammate, stand in the fence area, the lasers deactivate, and the enemies can pass freely through. So now that we have the basics of the fence figured out, let's take a look at some numbers. Let's start with level 1. It costs 2000 energy, has 2500 health, a full repair will cost you 300 energy if you have the maxed out repair boost card. Each hit that an enemy takes from the fence will do this much damage. With a total of about 123 hits before it's destroyed, that means the fence can do about 77 damage in total. Remember, this damage is based off of 1% of health to a drone elite. Next up, we got a couple stats for you about how much damage you do per cost, and how much health the fence has per cost. The damage values were pretty difficult to calculate. I needed to get a drone elite to hit the fence and nobody else. It then needed to kill me so that I could see how much damage it did over these hits, and I could see how much health the fence had left. It was quite an annoying process, and it really makes me wish that TC could have just published the actual values for this. Anyway, now let's go and throw level 2 up there. You can see it has more health, does more damage, and overall is just a better fence. Throwing the level 3 fence up there is interesting. You can see that it's actually slightly worse in many regards. It's a little cheaper per health and upfront cost, and overall it's cheaper to maintain, but it also does less damage per cost. Where the main difference in this fence comes in, though, is that this is the first laser-type fence, so enemies won't be able to simply pass through it. Personally, I like the level 2s better, but if you really want to keep people out of your base, an upgrade to level 3 doesn't hurt. So lastly, let's throw these level 4 numbers up there. At first glance, this doesn't really seem like the clear winner that it should be. It has the lowest damage per repair cost, so if you're looking for damage, repairing really isn't your best bet. It does do a lot of damage, though, and it does have the most health per build cost. So the way I view this in a quick summary is that if you're just looking to hold people back, level 4 is the way to go. If you're looking for damage and plan on repairing, then keep your level 2 fences. Level 1 and 3 just aren't really worth using in my opinion. But the math doesn't end there. One of the first things I discovered when doing this testing has to do with letting fortifications get destroyed. Let's take a look at the level 1 fence again. Buying a fence is going to cost you 2000 energy. If the engineer is 50% off, they'll get it for 1000. When the fence has gone through an entire cycle of health and is destroyed, it's going to drop 500 energy. As a quick side note, the amount of energy that a fortification drops when it's destroyed is 25% of the initial build cost before any discounts. So in this case, a 2000 energy fence divided by 4, 500. 500 energy will drop when it's destroyed. When the scout picks it up, it's not going to give them the double bonus, but when they deposit and they get the 50% deposit bonus, that's going to bump the price up to 750. So that means through an entire health cycle, you spend 1000, you get 750 back, meaning your net loss is 250 energy. Remember though, if your fence was down to 1 health left and you repaired it back to full, it would cost you 300 energy, and that's with the most efficient repair tool bonus possible. So what does this tell us? Well, quite simply, it's more cost efficient to let your fences get destroyed and build a new one as opposed to repairing it. As you can see by these numbers, the trend continues for the rest of the fences as well. I've personally been doing this for just over a month now, and it's working out really well for me. So now, we've discussed the numbers and the types of fences, but how do we use them? The most important tip that I can give with fences is to place them somewhere completely visible. Enemies, and trackers in particular, can do a lot of damage. You just need to make sure that your fence is in a place where you can see it well enough to shoot things off of it. Let's take a look at War Machine for example. I'm not going to go into detail about the speed runs, but let's say you want to trap everyone in the spawn locations. You could just set up a single fence to cover this door. However, we don't really like how quickly they get damaged, and we don't like the view that we have on enemies. Our response? Well, we set up a V pattern. This pattern not only spreads out the damage, making them last longer, but it also gives our team a better line of sight of the enemies and fences. If you have an area that you want blocked, but you don't have a viable line of sight on it, another option is always a sentry. We don't use sentries much, besides boosting lobbies that is, but they're really nice for guarding fences. The last tip I wanted to give for the fences is about placing the level 1 or level 2 fence sideways down the lane. Checkout is probably the best example of this. Think about placing a fence right here. It takes up this entire lane, so it's damaging people and slowing them down for this entire time that they're in there. This isn't something we use that much, but in certain spots it can be quite nice. So yeah, that's going to do it for our fences overview. Hopefully you learned a lot about the different types of fences. I for one really enjoyed figuring out how the repair tool works and understanding the health and damage values of the fences. If you found this helpful, be sure to subscribe and drop it a like. Also, don't forget to check out our channel for more math and horde focused videos and guides. We'll be working with decoys and weapons lockers next, but we have a ton of testing to do for some of the requests that you guys have. Again, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.